Hi guys, this is your host Adil. On this episode of On the Line, Dhaval and I had the pleasure of speaking with Faiz, who is one of Dhaval's childhood friends. We've dwelled into the topic of mental health in this episode, and we've discussed some practical ways that you can start to implement to get started on your self-help journey right away. I hope you all enjoy the episode as much as we enjoyed recording the episode. We've spoken about how the physical body that you have is the hardware and how the mental body that you have is the software, and things that you can do to fine tune the hardware and software to live a fulfilling life. So, enjoy this episode and welcome to On the Line. Cool. So three, two, one, we are live. Man, I'm so happy to be back on this episode. I have Faiz here today and I have Dhaval here
Awesome.
today. Hi guys.
Hello. Hi,
Okay.
Faiz.
Hi guys, excited, totally excited to be here because the first time I'm doing a podcast and I have known Dhaval since a very long time and Dhaval has introduced me in a very fun way to Adil. So I'm
Oh,
really looking forward to this.
Right
yes,
on.
and I had a short call with Faiz this morning, and it was very nice getting to know you. Um, so I'm gonna jump right into it. From what you told me, you've been intrigued by the mind, and that's what
Hmm.
led you to start your first startup, Cherry Minds. Do you want to start by telling us more what Cherry Minds is?
So before going to the solution, right? Before going to the solution that I built, I really want to start by discussing the context, which is the problem that we face. Okay.
Okay.
So, guys, just to have a conversation with you, see, like from a perspective of like the humanity, how it has existed, okay? We have always had tools that make us go forward, like
Uh-huh.
differentiate ourselves from the animals. Let me give you some examples. Like we had tools such as fire,
Mm-hmm.
we
Uh-huh.
tamed it, okay? We had tools like axe, then we
Right.
Uh-huh.
built modern tools, like we have money now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? So these technology and all are tools. So when I talk about the mind, okay, I see it as a tool that, let's say, Adil is gifted with naturally or Dhaval is gifted with naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, like growing up, yes, you have support of your friends, yes, you have support of your family, but those ambitions that you have and the life that you have to lead, that's very solitary if you think about it.
Yes, it is. First-hand experience, it is.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure, huh? So you guys are, have taken another leap. You guys are in a different country. So I'm sure you had to go through those difficult stages, and then you can perceive it in two different ways. ठीक है तो उसको तुम अच्छी तरीके से भी ले सकते हो माइंड कैन बी लाइक okay yes I want to be ambitious and then do
Yeah.
whatever thing or you can be in a state of misery as well. So that's the context guys that I want to discuss with you, that do you guys also think that it's how we perceive it.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. I agree with it. Yeah. The way you see things, it makes a lot of difference, right? Adil, when you met me the first time, let's say the first year of
Mm-hmm.
knowing me and knowing me now, you can see the difference. You can see how my change in perspective of looking at things has changed and has changed my life in return.
100%. Even the self-talk, the self-talk that I met
Exactly.
you when you had versus like the way you talk to yourself right now, it makes a difference. Your day-to-day life changes a lot too.
Right.
So just to sum it up, I feel what Fez is trying to say that the problem is that we have the ability to perceive our problems, but if we choose to perceive it in a negative way, it's going to have a negative impact on our life. If we choose to perceive it in a positive way, it's going to have a positive impact on our life. And this is what led you to build a solution, which was Cherry Minds, right?
Yes,
So now would
that's
you
yes.
please,
Fez,
please.
Fez, before we go deeper into Cherry Minds, your venture, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Can you give a little context about who you are, what you did?
So context as in like you want me to walk you through like how till the time I started up, what all I did.
No, context in about you. Who is Faiz Khan? Why he built up Cherry Minds? What lead you to build it up? What's your end goal for it?
So Dhaval, yeah, I'm a very simple guy. Okay, you know that I come from a very small town. Okay, that's the only difference is I'm really curious and I'm ambitious. Okay, so that has always taken me sort of a path less traveled. So because I had nobody to sort of guide me, I had to figure out many things on my own.
Right.
Right. So while I did this, while I got some success, I did some jobs, I got some degrees. Okay. But then it has always, for me, it has always been about that, making the journey easier for the people who are yet to come.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if nothing exists in the society around me, so I think I do have the ability to build something which is, making it better slightly.
Hmm.
That's just who I am. Simple.
When it comes to mental health, my personal perspective regarding it is same. I was in the same boat like you were. No one to guide me. I had to find my own way. I'm still trying to figure out so many things by myself. But when it comes to friends, which I am close to, friends, who I think can be helped with certain little things. I don't enforce myself on them, but I try to see if they want to help themselves, they want my help or not, right? I try to share my experience, and I try to soften the blow which the life will give you later on based on what you are doing. So this helping little bit of tools providing for me, my tools are my own experiences, how I dealt with the problems which I faced, how you can possibly avoid facing the same consequences I had faced. So I try to help people. I and Adil, I think we are both each other's support system, right? We talk to each other, we discuss things with each other, and we both know what our weaknesses are. So from time to time, I think we are now each other's support system. We share the experiences with each other, what he thinks could be the best. So yeah, man, mental health something we definitely need to take care. It's something, a topic which is very stigmatic, kind of taboo for people to go into. It doesn't make you weak, just talk it out. So many things could come out of it. So that is something I want to give a message from this episode we are recording today.
Fez, so what I wanted to know from you is, did you study the mind like from school, or is this just something that you've taken a personal interest in?
Hmm. So Adil, just to give you a context, I come from a family of doctors,
Uh-huh.
but I am not one.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where it actually starts because I had studied both biology and math in my school.
Uh-huh.
And biology sort of came naturally to me. I think it's the genes. Yeah. So yes, that's one thing. Okay, that I studied biology, but I never pursued it for the long term. Okay. Secondly,
Uh-huh.
I have always been intrigued by my own behavior.
Okay.
So I mean, just to give an example, I once upon a time when I was young, the only place I used to go to shop was Nike.
Okay.
Okay. So now I know that the reason I bought that brand was to signal something about myself. This is about all the psychology that I've read now. I now understand the reason. But once upon a time, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was working in the first job, I was always intrigued by, my own behavior and, why do people buy this and sort of stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that led me to pursue a course in marketing.
Okay.
So when I went to a school called Micah, and how that is different from other business schools is that we don't learn anything else. We don't. I mean, we are not focused on finance. We are not focused on HR or operations. All we care about is marketing,
Okay.
right? So once you go there, there are the course on consumer psychology, consumer behavior, and that's just one layer.
Hmm.
Because I was personally interested and curious about this, the next layer of psychology is philosophy,
Okay.
or before that, religions come in. So when you're surrounded by those kind of people, you discuss a lot. Ki, yaar, why? What is the purpose? Why do
Okay.
religions exist? And that's how you go to those levels.
Hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, I have been interested and curious about these things for a very long time, and
Okay.
genuine was just a accumulation of the problems and the solutions that I had discovered.
Okay. So your education background is in marketing, but
Yes.
via marketing, you've had the opportunity to explore human psychology, consumer behavior, and personally, you've also always been intrigued by the human mind. Nice.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I also have a diploma in marketing, and this is something that I personally like about marketing and sales also is, the aspect of dealing with people. But
Yeah.
a lot of people think that sales is just giving out as much information as possible. Sales currently is not like that at all
True.
because everybody has access to the information. You can just go on Google, type the product, and you can get all the information you want. At one
True.
point, when the internet wasn't a big thing, that's when,
Hmm.
as long as the salesman knows what he's talking about, people are going to buy from him. Right now, sales is so much more understanding a person. There
Yes.
is something called NLP that I really like. It's called Neuro Linguistic
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Programming. Um, it's just very simple, simple things like looking people directly in the eye, reading their body language. If their arms are crossed, they're probably against the idea. They're not receiving in the information. Little things like this that allow you to get the person on the same vibe with you, and then help solve a problem that they have. That is what I would describe sales as right now. Um, so yeah, man, it's interesting how the brain works, and taking care of the
Exactly.
brain
So,
is
or
absolutely
इसमें
important.
one more Adil, one more element that I would like to put light on is
Hmm.
something called as self-awareness.
Hmm.
So all these questions that I talked about, why am I doing this thing? Okay, or why
Yeah.
is my friend behaving that way, or why are my parents behaving that way? So एक तो चीज one way you can do is just not think about it, just escape out of it. Or the second kind of thing, which a certain personality trait is that you really become curious. Why do I do what I do? Okay, and nobody wants you to be self-aware, Adil and Dhaval, because if you know what you want, I won't be able to sell you shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Man, this is such an interesting thing that you bring to light, Fez. I believe as evolved creatures, we are the only creature who has this kind of self-awareness. Um, we have the ability to completely zone out, keep eating as much junk food as we want, keep eating as many meals as we want, keep sleeping all day, keep like just masturbating, watching porn, not getting anything out of our lives. And if you see any other animal's life is like that, all they have to worry about is eating, sleeping, and reproducing. That's it, right? But we are the only creatures who have this kind of self awareness that we can rise one up. But that is only by controlling our animalistic desires of not just eating, sleeping, and recreating. And for that, also, it requires a certain kind of restraint on your mind or a certain level of control on your mind, which brings back to what Faiz is saying is the idea of consciousness and self awareness. The more you know about yourself, the more easy it becomes to control the tool that you have.
Right.
One thing that Sadhguru said is the human mind is the most complex tool that we have. It's so evolved, but we don't have a user manual for it,
Yeah.
right? So the more like this is something that interests me a lot is finding tools that you can help to fine tune your mind to use it to the best of your ability.
Mm-hmm.
It is, man. It
About
is. If you, yes, sorry, sorry, Dhaval. I think, I
that's
mean,
okay. Go on, go on, go on, go on.
go ahead, go. I mean, I'm on those lines, that if you tell this to a young guy who is
Mhm.
just, just starting the game, if I may, okay, and you
Mm-hmm.
tell him that, bro, you have this thing in your between your ears, you can achieve anything out of it in this
Yeah.
world. That just opens up a huge world of possibilities, and I don't think we talk it out right now. I mean, please not was not done in ABPS. Dhaval,
Yeah.
I am sorry if I missed that class. You can help me remind.
No, man. Even if you have missed, you are asking to a wrong person about classes, man. Anyways, about self awareness. In one of our previous episode, I mentioned about what my technique is like. I'm self aware. I'm self analyzing everything I'm saying, the way I'm thinking, the way I am doing things. I keep on analyzing myself. I keep on look at myself about what needs to be improved, what something better I can do. That has helped me a lot over past few years, and that is one of the most remarkable technique which I have learned. I learned by my own experience. So let's say, if Fez, if you want to, and Adil, both of you, the question is for both of you actually. Let's say if someone very young, okay, I would say in their early 20s, they want to, they are a little bit disturbed, or even if they are not even disturbed mentally, okay, they are at a point now they want to start getting into, improving their mental health. What's the basic things that you would suggest? Try this, don't enforce it, but try this. This is something I would have started, this is something I would have liked to learn when I was at your age, to improve my mental health, to learn more about myself, to learn how I should conduct myself, or basically learn more about myself. What things that you both would suggest for someone new starting, going independent, someone very early in their age?
First, do you want to go first? No? Okay, sure. So, well, I have two tips for anybody who's going through this, anybody who's starting out on this journey. It's very simple. Eat a good breakfast and do some kind of purposeful movement. By purposeful movement, I mean any kind of exercise. And for both of them, I have very simple reasons. Your brain is the highest energy consuming organ in your body. Good energy comes from protein and fat. Now, when you wake up in the morning, um, let's say if you slept for 6 hours, 7 hours, you've woken up in a fasted state. And if you're somebody who's already prone to anxiety or like stress, now your brain does not have any fuel and it wants to start crashing and have those anxiety and whatever stressful thoughts that you want to have. But if you give it good kind of fuel, you'll be able to use your brain in a much more efficient way. So I'm not saying like it's the only way, or like anybody who's taking medicines or something is stupid. But for anybody who doesn't have access to all of these things, or for anybody who does not want to go the medicine way and just wants to start something on their own, these are two things that need to be taken care of first. Is a good breakfast in the morning, which consists of heavy protein and heavy fat, and purposeful movement throughout the day. Go for a walk, a brisk walk, and 3 times a week try to get in an exercise session or a weightlifting session, a cardio session, something. It helps you release a lot of energy and again, get juices flowing.
Makes sense. I think it totally makes sense. So two things that you mentioned were, one, a good meal at the
Mm-hmm.
starting of your day so that your brain gets energy, and second is purposeful movement, right? So the way I look at it, Adil, is that what I've discovered is that, the mind and the body are connected.
Mm-hmm.
ठीक है जब स्कूल में, आई डोंट नो हु टोल्ड दिस कि भाई स्कूल जाओ घर आके पढ़ाई करो, दैट्स ऑल. ठीक है, so the lack of appreciation of body movement that has an impact on some cognition like learning,
Mhm.
that connection was not appreciated as much, but it is absolutely connected, and I agree on these 2 points. That's what I mean, I try to do. And what I would suggest, Dhaval, for somebody who is starting out is an activity that in today's cultural context has been completely perceived the wrong way. I'll tell you why. See, uh, the activity is meditation. The activity
Hmm.
is meditation. And if you look at a guy meditating, he is not doing anything. He's
Yeah.
just still sitting at one place, eyes closed, right? So this activity, if I'm being really honest with you guys, the first time I heard about this activity and I got to know about this, I'm like, ये क्या चूतिया activity? इसमें कुछ
Same.
कर ही नहीं रहा. Yeah, because we are a product of the industrial age.
Hmm.
Industrial age, you have to do something. You have to be
Hmm.
productive. Every minute of your day, you have to extract maximum value out of it.
Right.
In fact, whenever in my house, when I was just sitting idly, not doing anything, my dad used to come to me or somebody else and like, क्या हो गया फैज कुछ कर क्यों नहीं रहा?
Hmm.
You get it? That's the context that we have been brought in. So when I so this is where like sort of my story comes in, that when I was preparing for an exam called GMAT and I was
Hmm.
failing miserably in it, even though I have a very good academic history till that point of time. For some reason, my mind wasn't engaged for those 4 hours.
Hmm.
So that was very difficult time for me. And then the impact that meditation had on me, you just sit still, you understand what's going around, the whole garbage that has become.
Yeah.
बिकॉज बायोलॉजिकली भी आप सोचो ना, तो ये ईगो होता है आपका, जो माइंड में जो कॉग्निटिव पावर्स डेवलप हुए ना, जो सेल्फ टॉक बोला आदिल ने, सेल्फ टॉक इज अ फीचर ऑफ द ब्रेन
Hmm.
जो बाकी सब एनिमल्स में नहीं है. तो ये डेवलप हो जाता है, बस हमें पता नहीं ये डेवलप हो गया, और वो गलत तरीके से डेवलप हो जाता है. इट्स नॉट
Okay.
ऑप्टिमाइज्ड.
Mhm.
So that's what I would say to a 21-year-old guy, because their ego and their inner self-talk, everything is developed now, but now they need to program it. It
Right.
can be programmed.
Yeah.
It's something called neuroplasticity in science. So that's something I would suggest.
Yeah. It's just software, right? The problem, which I think, with Indian society, since we have lived there, I feel it's the conditioning over the years, over the generations that we have been doing कि इसी तरीके से life जीनी है, इसी तरीके से करना है. This is a taboo, this is something not you should do. So, there is a plaque on your mind. जैसे दांत के ऊपर plaque जम जाता है, over time, your mind also has the plaque over time, because you are having only a tunnel vision कि okay, this is the only set path, because तुम यही सोच रहे हो, but you are ignoring this side and this side. Like if you broaden your view like 360-degree views, and you are just watching at the 10 angle degree or 40-degree angle, right? So that
फिर
is
तो लाइफ
something.
चूतिया लगेगी ही तुम्हें.
Exactly. And that is something I struggle too, having that tunnel vision कि एक ही चीज पे हम लोग focus कर रहे हैं, right? Now, when I was 21, when I was in early 20s, I would say I wouldn't consider meditation. I wouldn't consider, mental health. I wouldn't consider exploring myself. Now, at this age, now I am realizing, if I would have explored myself, if I would have learned things about myself when I was way younger, life would be very different. And I feel like this is something most of the young people should learn, should try to explore themselves. My question would be, if you want to not urge, but at least if say that young people should start exploring, where should they start doing that? Where should they start with, okay, this is something I want to do, should I do it, will it help me to explore myself? What particularly work for me is just trying random things, right? मुझे ये करना था, मैंने किया, मुझे नहीं पसंद आया, that now I know, okay, that's not going to work for me, right? Now I tried something new. It comes from very small and basic things, like trying out a new dish, right? Now I have tried this dish, I like it, now I know I like it. If I don't like it, I also know that I don't like it. So I've explored a little bit of myself. What would you say, take a step further? How would someone explore themselves, get to know themselves?
Okay, man, this is a very interesting question.
I am an interesting person.
It's difficult to.
I agree, though.
Yeah. The answer is as simple as like, everybody knows themselves already, right? But what everybody, I believe, or like most of the people, what I feel miss out on is, I feel we forget to put our plans into real time, and this is why we feel that we are not keeping up with something, and we start stressing about things. And like as simply as like, if you sit by yourself for 5 minutes, right? Whether you say meditation, prayer, if you sit by yourself for 5 minutes and you really ask yourself, what do you want? You'll exactly know what you want at any given point, at any moment in your life. Right now, if you all have to sit down, close your eyes, and be like, what do I want? At least 10 things will pop up in your head. Now, even from those 10 things, if you pick the first 5 things and you decide that this is what I want and I'm not going to stop till I get this, you'll be able to formulate a plan to get that. And that's what is going to lead you to try new things, try different ventures. So I feel that's the easiest advice that I can give to somebody who's trying to get to know themselves. Once you know what you want, you set out to get it. That way, at least you know these are the things that you like because you're in the pursuit of them, or you'll understand that you don't like them because you won't want to follow them, and now you know what you are and what you want.
What
Like from
about you,
my
guys?
perspective, see, exploration is going to happen. I mean, my philosophy is that your 20s are for exploration.
Exploration, true.
Yeah, 20s are for exploration. And so that is going to happen. And as Adil said, it is more challenging to actually do it because it involves real risks,
Yes.
right? So I'll give you my example. When I started my startup, I did not tell my parents that I had left my job. I just had some like 5 lakhs in my bank account, but the the drive was there in me. I want to try this. I want to explore this. Okay, so it definitely comes with a risk. मेरी फटी हुई थी तब उस time.
Right.
So here's where how your mind talks to you during that time. Does it allow you to take that step? Or do you not? Do you regress? So this is where again how you've programmed this thing comes into play. Because we are not living in a hunter gatherer environment. ठीक है, जो हमारे दिमाग सोचता है कि यार अभी सतर्क रहते हैं, कोई शेर आके खा लेगा, अभी वो पॉसिबल नहीं है, वो नहीं होने वाला. बट फियर अभी भी है. So that's what I would think. I mean, go ahead, explore. It's just that do this thing. Take care about how you are going about it with your mind, because this is the only tool you got as we started.
It's very fascinating that I would say in one decade, social media, you can say, has taken up so much space in everyone's mind, right? We are being conditioned in a way ke, by this certain age you should have this, by certain age you need to have this, otherwise you're not living to the norms, you're not living to the standards. That creates pressure for everyone who is in that particular mindset. How would you say, to avoid all those things, to be rational person in the age where you have access to all kind of information? It's just fingertips away. It's not even few minutes, it's just fingertips away. Take out your phone, you dig up whatever you need. At the same time, there is influx of such information everywhere on internet, on your social media. You're just chilling out, you're scrolling, but then you are conditioning your mind in a way that you're really you're living in a my perception that ठीक है यार अब तक this is my age. Like I had been in that situation, right? I'm 30 right now and I feel like यार 30 में इन लोगों ने इतना कुछ अचीव कर लिया and I haven't done anything. So you know at certain point I had also conditioned myself कि by 25 by 27 ये होना चाहिए according to the norms. How would you say people should start rationalizing themselves, start avoiding those kind of negative harm to themselves? How should someone explore it?
Well, I want to go first. If
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I feel a simple thing that can be done is paying attention to what you're giving your attention to. If you're sitting and scrolling Instagram all day, I'm sure there is a voice in the back of everybody's head that talks to them at some point and is like, man, you're just scrolling Instagram all day. Even though it's not easy to stop, you're doing it mindlessly. But over a period of time, the more attention you bring to something, the more you're going to have the ability to stop it. This is what Faiz was talking about, neuroplasticity, right? So a very nice article that I read is that not everybody is born funny, but even funny is a skill that can be developed. So for example, somebody says something to you and you didn't have a comeback at that moment, but let's say like 10 hours later, you're in the shower and you have
Yeah.
like a absolute zinger that would have destroyed them completely. You note it at that point, right?
Yeah.
Now, the next time this situation happens, maybe you'll get this comeback in a span of 5 hours because your brain's understanding this ability to develop these things, right? The idea is the more you practice it, when you say it out aloud, like, okay, you got the zinger, now you said it out aloud. Now it's become a thing, it's becoming an actual thing. So your brain wants to start getting better and better at this. And the next thing you know, you've brought your attention to it and you've become a funny person. It's the same thing with like, moderating yourself in terms of just mindlessness. At this point, when you say we're being bombarded with information, the biggest currency of our time is attention. Whatever can keep your attention, or
Yeah.
if it's a device, an app, somebody speaking that can keep your attention, they can tell you whatever
Yeah.
they want to tell you, and you're going to believe that information at that point. Right? So it is important for you to pay attention to what you're giving attention. If you catch yourself after listening to this, if you catch yourself the first time you're just mindlessly scrolling, the first time you catch yourself and you're not able to stop yourself, but at least you've registered that thought. The next time, maybe 30 minutes later, you'll be able to register that thought again, that fuck man, I'm still mindlessly scrolling. Maybe after 2 hours, after four blips of that man, I'm still mindlessly scrolling, you'll put your phone away and get up and do something. But now that you've done it once, the next time you try to do it, maybe it'll happen in 1.5 hours. The next time you do it, it'll happen in 1 hour. Your brain is learning that, man, I don't want to keep mindlessly scrolling. So every time I catch it, I'm trying to get better at it by putting my phone away faster and getting back to work. And that's what builds all these skills up.
That is also a perfect example of how some people explore themselves, how they become more self-aware about themselves. Okay, you're registering it once and then the span is shorter. So every time you notice something, you're getting to know yourself. Okay, this is something I'm doing numbnessly, zombie scrolling. That's a very good example. What about you, Faiz?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I would like to highlight the fact again, जो मैंने बोला था पहले, अगर तुम खुद सेल्फ अवेयर नहीं होगे तो कोई भी तुम्हें कुछ भी बेच देगा.
Yeah, I know.
Social media is a crazy tool, man. Like it's a crazy tool because it really plays on how we are wired as organisms. So chimpanzees, where we have evolved from, are highly uh, hierarchical creatures. We want to socially compare ourselves to our peers, and that's how we make a judgment of ourselves. So that's something that has been wired in us as organisms. And when you accentuate it using this tool in our phones, it's like a crazy double-edged sword. So yes, so that's the point I would try to make. And yeah, man. So I regularly track, by the way, how much time I spend on Instagram. I can tell you exactly last month I had spent 33 hours
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram.
No way, man.
So
That's like
I'm
what I spend in like 3 days. Impossible.
I have this feature on my phone. I think everyone has that feature now, that you can set a particular amount of time, like a timer for each app. So I have put 25 minutes of Instagram time for one day. So as soon as I exceed that 25, the app is locked. I cannot unlock it until the clock strikes 12 at midnight. That is when it's free
so
again. So
so do you
if
follow it?
yeah, it needs to be done. I haven't used Facebook in a very long time. After I got not laid off, but after I got fired recently, I started using Instagram a little bit more, but
Misleading.
misleading. Yeah. But those are certain small things, certain small changes that I have started realizing about myself. An interesting topic came to my mind. Are there any kind of drugs? Now when I say drugs, it's not necessarily cocaine or meth. I'm not talking about those drugs. Drugs which can enhance the uh, possibility or performance of your brain. And would you suggest to take uh, the help of those drugs to explore yourself, to improve the performance of your brain? What do you suggest? If I'm not sure if you guys have watched that movie, it's called Limitless. The
Yeah.
person just the person just takes that pill, and then his mind works so faster. He can do anything. He became genius with trading. He became genius with science. Anything you pick up, and he has mastered it as soon as he has taken the pills. Yeah, what do you think? Are there any drugs available? I have heard about ashwagandha. I have been taking ashwagandha for quite some time now. I don't
Mhm.
see any improvement per se. The only thing I would say, it doesn't. Now, when I say it doesn't do anything, that would be a very different context. But for me, I feel like it doesn't do anything to my mind, but I know it is working on me. So it's very hard for me to explain what it does to me. For some people, they say it makes you hyper focused and emotionless. It
Mhm.
doesn't make me emotionless, but definitely I feel like a little bit focused, but it doesn't do anything to me. So is there any aid someone can take to improve the performance of the brain?
I would like to go first on this if
Please.
it's okay. Yeah, man. I mean, see, in my opinion, these things, like everything else, is a double-edged sword. Okay, you have some benefits and you have some disadvantages as well. So I'm not going to go in the abuse of these things, but there is a reason that societies don't want you to experience certain psychedelics. The reason is that I have conditioned you to be
Hmm.
a part of this society, to be a
Yeah.
member of this hive, to be a cog in this wheel. I have conditioned your mind for like how many years? All the years in school, 12 years, 13 years.
Yeah.
So what happened to me was when I first did psychedelics
Mm.
was that there was a moment where all this cognition, all this conditioning that was there in my mind evaporated.
Right.
And I could see that, oh, this is my condition.
Hmm.
I had my head up my ass all this while.
Right.
So that's the other side of the psychedelics or drugs that you talk about. I'm
Hmm.
not telling you to abuse them. I'm not telling you to be dependent on them to have a better life. But then I'm of philosophy that you should try everything once, and there's a reason you should try this.
Exploring. Learn
Yes,
yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm happy Faiz touched up on like psychedelics as drugs that can be used for self-consciousness. Um, I think one of the things that we've been talking about, there are two distinguishing factors when it comes to our self-awareness. One is the body, and then the other is the mind. Uh, Very simply, like a nice way you all have said it is the mind, and all of this is the software. Your emotions, energy, all of this is your software, and the body that you're using, your physical body that you're using, is your hardware. Um, Now, sometimes it's just possible that your software is not working properly. It's not running properly, right? And a lot of people, like people who go through depression, who've not just whatever imbalances is there in their head, that's there. So in those cases, I believe drugs can be helpful, and not just psychedelics. I'm sure they're doing a lot more research on psychedelics now, and they're finding legal ways of using psychedelics for a lot of therapy purposes. But even apart from therapy purposes, apart from psychedelics, there are drugs like antidepressants, Adderall, all of these things to improve focus for people who have ADHD. Now, this is where I feel drugs are helpful, but there has to be a fine balance. You can't just uh, keep putting drugs in the system to keep boosting the software and not do anything to improve the hardware. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
what is going to happen is like your brain is working overtime, but the physical hardware you have, the physical PC is just getting overheated. It's not knowing it doesn't have the capacity to run the fast software.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who gets started on these drugs, they need to go through therapy in a way also where they're doing something to improve their physical health. And eventually, what is going to happen is that the mind body is going to catch up, and that connection is going to happen where they're not abusing the drug and they're not just completely dependent on the drug 100% for productivity purposes. Um, as far as psychedelics is concerned, man, this is a subject that is very close to me. Everybody, I don't, I've never promoted drugs on anyone. I do believe everybody should experience everything, but when I say that, I believe everybody should also take this advice with a pinch of salt. Some things are for people to experience. When it comes to consciousness, all of us have the same hardware. All of us have the same brain, but some people just have the capacity of, you know, just like putting their mind in hyperdrive to go towards that consciousness, while some people need to take shorter steps to build that consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
For people who are looking to take that hyperdrive mode, again with a lot of experience and with a lot of caution, these are the people who would explore psychedelics.
Right.
But
I'm really angry about the fact that we don't have an option. Nobody gave us an option that this is the thing that you can try and
Yeah.
maybe yeah. It is like मेरे लिए तो वो था कि जो ना बोलोगे मैं तो वही करूँगा.
वही कर रहा है. Yeah, that's the
कुछ तो
thing,
है
right?
भाई.
What?
हाँ.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's very general human nature. Whatever is prohibited is more attractive to human nature, right? If I'm going to say, Adil, you're not going to do this, he's going to do this because क्यों मेरे को रोका है? And he'll be curious. And it's just very normal human nature.
man, but interestingly, you know what? I don't know of a single person who's addicted to psychedelics because it is not something that you want to put your mind through to on an everyday basis, right? Like if anybody who's had intense psychedelic trips on whatever drugs they are, it's more of a one-time thing or like once in a while thing rather than doing it every day. But at the same time, I also know a few people who've absolutely gone batshit crazy after a bad trip.
I think the whole game really boils down to see if you are hooked to it as a means of escapism. Like you can escape in a lot of things. You can watch a lot of content. You can drink a lot. You can eat a lot of sugar. So I think the difference is that are you making it as a part and experience of life, or are you making it as a escape means of escapism that you require to live? Those are two different things.
Right. And I think there's a very thin line, and some people do recognize that line, and they If they have crossed it, they realize it. And if they haven't crossed it, they know where the boundaries are. But for some people, it's very difficult to identify where that limit is.
Just as we discussed about the hardware being the physical body and the software being your emotions and your mental state. What is one thing that y'all would like to suggest for either your hardware or your software? What is one thing that y'all personally do to take care of your hardware or your software, and what would you how would you describe it as? Like, how has your journey been? Because I'm sure, like, for example, for me it's working out, and it's not easy. Like, I just don't want to wake up and go to the gym every day. So I'm sure, like, what is something that y'all are doing that to take care of your hardware and your software, and what has your journey been with it so far?
I have decided, like, अब my lifestyle में I have decided that भाई दिमाग लगाना ही नहीं है, दिन में दो चीजें करनी है। एक तो या तो वर्कआउट करो या तो खेलने जाओ, either of those things. That's for my physical body, that's for the hardware, and for the
Mhm.
software I meditate.
Mm-hmm.
So these two things, I'm like an autopilot guy. मेरे को कुछ सोचना ही नहीं है, ये टाइम है, इस टाइम पे ये करना है और इस टाइम पे ये है, simple.
Okay.
Right. For software, yes, I do meditation. Meditation is something I do very regularly. It has helped me a lot. So for my software, that is one essential tool I always use and I will always use. I don't think I have anything else for updating my software. In terms of updating or staying fresh with my hardware, time to time, I don't work out very heavily, but I do work out from time to time. I go out for hike. I go out visiting, not visiting. Actually, yes, visiting new places, exploring the
Mm-hmm.
city itself, trying to find new spots. Sit by myself without gadgets. That also helps me a lot. So that is something I do. I've explored it. I know that is something will help me know myself. So it's just about self awareness. Explore yourself. You will know what you like. You will know what you don't like. But you won't know until you don't try.
Nice. That's really nice. One thing I would suggest is, like, personally for the hardware, I love working out. Like, as much as I hate working out, I really love working out because the benefits it does for your body is it's maddening. But for people, who are struggling with getting started with that, I believe the best way to do something for your physical body is by putting it in a position where it's uncomfortable. So something as simple as even having a cold water shower does wonders for your physical body. It's not used to getting that cold jolt of water at any point of the day, right? So that would be something that I would recommend people to look into more to get a nice
Hmm.
dopamine hit out of.
Right.
Um, I want to wrap up with a fun fact, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to wrap up, man. We've been doing this for an hour now. So,
We didn't realize the time.
exactly,
It has
yes.
been and I have so many things I still want to go about.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and this topic has ability or to keep on exploring, to keep
100%.
on learning new things. I'm always curious about so many things because as we are discussing things, I'm coming out with new questions.
Man,
Sorry,
okay.
Ajay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So, I found this fact from Andrew Huberman.
Hmm.
Huberman. He's a He's a
Neuroscientist.
neuroscientist, man. Fantastic guy. Check out his stuff too. But what he says is that when you have a cold water shower, the amount of dopamine you get is equivalent to the amount of dopamine you would get when you snort cocaine. And it brings
Oh,
your, like, whatever level your baseline dopamine is at, when you take a cold water shower, the dopamine hit you get is 200 times, it's a 200 times multiplier of that of your baseline dopamine. So very, very nice way to put your body through something uncomfortable and get a nice dopamine hit out of it.
nice.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I take cold water showers almost every other day. Didn't know I was snorting so much cocaine. But yeah,
Right. Well, Faiz, I really want to thank you, and I really appreciate you giving us time. Thank you for coming. You shed some really good light on the topic. It has been a very fun conversation. I would love to have you on another episode. Like I said, this topic is endless. So many things that we will be discussing. The next episode we will do on the same topic. Thanks again.
Sure, Dhaval. So it was, I mean, really nice. And the reason, I mean, so the property that says it was very nice is because time dilation happened.
Hmm.
When you are in a flow state, you are really enjoying the activity. You don't give a fuck about, how much time has
Yeah.
passed. So, I mean, great. This was a great conversation. I hope this creates some kinds of awareness in your users or your listeners. And definitely, we should explore more topics. And only if we talk about it, we talk about things that are not talked about any other,
Hmm.
folks. That's how we like take a step ahead, right?
Right.
Otherwise, it's all remains the same, and we live the same life as our parents and before that.
Hmm. Right.
So definitely, thank you so much for having me, and it was nice talking to you, Adil. Nice talking to you, Dhaval, and looking forward to talking to you soon.
Right. Pleasure having you, man.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys. We have come to an end of this episode on mental health. Firstly, I would like to thank everybody who made it this far. Dhaval, Fez, and we only managed to scratch the surface of this topic. Mental health, physical health, these are so important in our daily lives. So do expect more episodes on these topics. For next week, our topic that we've selected is Indian civics. I've been wanting to know how the Indian government works and how the Indian government bodies are elected. So this is why Dhaval and I selected the topic of Indian civics. Thank you for listening and see you on the next episode of On the Line.